where we intuitively connect from within. And it's woo woo time, where we connect our woo woo into our mundane living. Hello, this is Sylvia of Colorful Foresight, and here we have Dance with Angela. It's been a while.
It's been a while. What a while. Oh my God. We're
Crazy.
still here. Isn't that weird? Everything's crazy, but we're still here.
Usually her and I think we are connected, but we haven't really talked since the election. But we're really not going to talk about
The
the
past,
politics, but we are going to talk about how we're going to handle
the
the
future.
energy post-election, because this is not just USA, it's globally. So without going that detailed, we're going to talk about the field of bubble. So what that means, I have this card. Now, if you guys are a student of tarot, the 7 of Wands is usually in the Rider-Waite, like a defense card, But in the Life There card, tarot by Chrisanne described it as, here, it looked a little different. So you have these 7 wands. So think of all things that, the challenges that going at her. But she's in her peace. She's in her field of bubble. So she's creating peace regardless of what's going on. So we could apply that to what's going on politically, although here in the US and globally. So what comes to your mind when you see that, Angela?
Well, yeah, she's really coming in. It's interesting. It's a very martial arts sort of image. Actually, you showed it to me before, and I saw a martial artist that has to come into that solar plexus region and channel the energies before they strike. And it happens in the moment. So she's not really thinking, but she's integrating all the energies, kind of like Neo in the Matrix.
Ooh.
And knowing which way to strike without thinking. So it's a different way. It's like instinctual living. And recently I've been talking to a few people that work with the federal government, and they
In Australia or US?
No, US.
Oh
And
my God.
every time they speak, I'm not in their position, but I'm in a similar position. I'll talk about that shortly with my life, where things have disappeared. And it's like everything that I thought was my foundation, it's not there anymore. And I've been slowly putting in the new foundation, but the money hasn't arrived. So I've had to sort of go, well, I guess I'm not doing that job now, and I don't know where the money's coming from, so it just comes from some other source. But I'm looking at these people who work in the federal government, and they're like, well, my future's uncertain. I don't know what's going to happen. So they have to learn how to come into their instinct very fast, very in this moment now. They don't know the next day if they have a job, or the next week, the next 2 months, the next year. So it changes their whole perception of reality, because they have to start thinking instinctually and also start preparing themselves to respond in the moment, which is what a martial artist does over many years. You cultivate that skill. So that's what the 7 of Wands reminds me of. It's,
And
I guess,
I'm laughing because you look like she told me with the filter. I'm like, wow, your aura, because she had that beautiful aura, which goes with that card, but it's a filter. But I'm like, that's perfect. Yeah, the martial art, great. Like that's interesting. That makes different because it's really challenging now. So that's great. It's like kind of being like if the Hindu, they have that lotus flower in the muddy water, right? That same kind of thing. Like it, in the midst of that mud, you have this beautiful flower.
and the martial artists, what they do is like Aikido is the art of the peaceful way. You have to take in, so if the 7 of Wands, things are coming at you, you have to take it in, and in Aikido, you bring it into harmony. You don't nullify it. It doesn't go completely, doesn't dissolve. But that's what I see when I watch the bits of news that I can face right now. It's like a lot of people are complaining the Democrats are really passive, but actually passivity is actually a strategy. Some people say, oh, they're in shock, they're this, they're labeling it. But if you feel the energy, maybe they're actually taking it in and working out how to work with it. But we all individually have to learn how to do that in our daily lives. If our job disappears tomorrow, you're going to be like, okay, what am I going to do? You have to learn how to work with the energy instead of going into collapse. You don't have time to collapse when you're in the fight. You have to learn how to work with the energy and come up with a new response. Or if you go into depression and you have to pay the bills, it doesn't work. So you have to become more agile, more nimble, and more in the moment and responsive. You can't be pathetic and a victim and just complaining about stuff. Complaining is not going to get you out of the problem. And around me, we're not in the US, so around me, though, quite a few people, including myself, have lost work. And we're in this sort of neutral zone where we're going on a holiday or going away or planning to be somewhere else, like a holiday, like more like the Six of Swords when you go on that trip. We're doing that stuff because we can't actually get new work or for other reasons. It's things have just sort of disappeared. In 2024, things just ended, and we're in this neutral zone, kind of working out, well, now what do I do? Because we went through the pandemic in 2020, which stopped us working, and we had time to think, well, do I really want to work like this? And so after the 4-year period, it's like, I don't really want to work like that. So what do I want to do? And it's a little bit inescapable for some of us. We're not in the situation I was describing, like the people working in the federal government, where you have to pay bills and you need a new source of income. I have other income sources I can rely on, but I have to choose to live the way I want to live. Otherwise, I can't move forward.
Yeah.
So I think that's a lot of what's going on collectively, that what is the way we
You know
want
what?
to live.
Can you start a class or something? Because there was a video, a brief video clip. I didn't plan to do that, but it goes greatly with Dance with Angela. Where are you? Um, yeah, you had a little video clip about how to handle the time. Let me see if I can find it. So, actually, a few days ago, I had Letitia on, and after the lesson, she was in a really bad space. But what she realized over time is she's stronger than she thought she was.
Mhm.
Funny how we're talking about this topic, um, because there is something to that. Like you talking about adjusting to something new, and I'm looking under maybe under short. What is it? Oh, okay. Disturbing emotion we can't ignore forced us. Maybe that's it.
To grow.
So let me see if I could bring this up. Uh, okay, I think kind of goes with what we're talking about too. So tell us a little bit before we continue about your latest online course because it goes along with the creating the field of bubble.
Yeah, so twice a month I do energy healing and protection for empaths, intuitives, HSPs, and people in the helping professions, so coaches or healers or nurses or energy workers or massage therapists, those people. And I teach dance classes in Sydney. So the online class is a free class to just share some of the teachings that are underneath my ebook. It's a guide, Empaths Guide, How to Stop Taking on Other People's Energy. Because as I was teaching the dance, a lot of people had that common issue. So my first ebook is about that. And it's got really simple strategies in the ebook. And then in the Zooms, I go deeper into some
On
of my,
Sunday night, right?
yeah, Sundays, 8 o'clock, twice a month.
So that's what I must have saw you talking, maybe with from a clip of that. Because
Yeah, that was one of the
oh,
clips from the
I hear it.
Zoom.
You see the screen?
Yeah. So a lot of people are really disturbed. And that uncomfortable feeling is some of the emotions that might be coming up. So let's look at what are some of the emotions, what are the feelings that come up in you? Because there's no accident that this is happening right now as the earth is going through its own change. Humanity has to clear out all of this repressed hurts, traumas, fears. Fears are the huge one. So terror, sadness, and grief. And one thing that helps when the collective is stirring that up is to look at it. Where is terror, sadness, and grief? Where has it happened for you on a personal level? Now, for some people, maybe you've never experienced terror.
So you have experienced maybe sadness and you have maybe had grief. So for all of us, it might be a new thing to experience terror. Maybe you've never been in a war zone, so you don't know what it's like to fight for your life.
You know,
That connects to the Seven of Wands, because you might
exactly.
be experiencing new emotions like the terror. I mean, my mum had it when she was 3 years old in Sicily in World War II,
Mm,
because her family had to hide in a cave and she was a toddler. So, and I've got another girlfriend, her mum was rolled up in a carpet on a train trying to escape the Nazis because they were after her grandfather. So
the
that
German,
her mum
right?
had to run away. So her mum was being hidden in a carpet. So I constantly re-experience the terror through her mum, who's still alive today.
Yeah.
So we've got it in our ancestry, in our parent. Well, my mum and my friend's mum. I remember my mum having terror, but me personally, I mean, I've experienced that once in a while. But I think now what's confronting, especially for people I know in the US, it's terrifying when they're watching the new policies being rolled out, or the new headlines. It's terrifying. And it might be a new experience, but it's in your family line probably somewhere. But you have to learn how to just face it, not run away. When I think about my friend's mum and being rolled up in a carpet and having to hide in the train, I experience the terror in my body. That's me as an empath. It's how I roll. But I also see her as an adult constantly reliving that terror. And it's not a healthy thing. It's just
Right.
not a great way to live if you're 80 years old still re-experiencing terror every day. We've got to face it and learn how to transmute that, or surrender that, or maybe you have to be more active and fight. I'm not a fighter in that sense politically, but I think some of my friends, they need to get more active and become more um, progressive in terms of taking action, going to the town halls, writing up petitions,
Absolutely.
writing.
You know, I belong to BlueSky app, and if you see other country, they have thousand, a million people, and the U.S. it, it's slow. So I have seen, like, I'm not blaming, but a
Ah,
lot of them are very complacent. The Democrat, the Republican, they have no idea. They live in a different world because they're not hearing what we're hearing with their news, and they're living like it's a normal day. And sometimes the problem with Blue Sky is you show like the farmers that voted for the 47, or you show the people who work in the federal, but that's not the general population. So it hadn't hit them then. They don't even know about Canada, that Canada's not buying. They think they're mad about the tariff. I'm like, no, it's about the 51st. But I told Angela, I said, I can't get sick. I have to keep my energy. They're gonna hear about it eventually. And I go, I don't know how I would be if I didn't have Sterling Psychic Medium,
uh-huh.
who talked about, there are like, you would have to go to Sterling Psychic Medium on YouTube and you could listen to him. He talked about what's going on once a week. So could our focus really not to talk about the detail? It's more on how to create that field of bubble in the midst of what's going on in the US and globally. So whatever comes to be. So I love that she saw it martial art. I didn't even think of that. I thought more like a meditation. But however it is, could be the lotus flower or any other. That I don't know. It's just a very, like you said, it's just the unknown. The first time dealing with that. And I didn't
And
even
so
think about like what our family went through, because I know like the relatives in their 80s, 90s in Italy, like yours, and they would have to hide the women
yeah,
when the German came, or certain different groups, they would have to hide them. So you mentioned Nazi. I don't know if they thought Nazi, but just that was Germany. So
the German soldiers came into Italy.
yeah,
I have a friend here who was a Mussolini, whose dad got removed when she was a child and put it in an internment camp because he had a photo that he was wearing a Mussolini fascist outfit. And he just wore the outfit. He wasn't like, yay, I love you, Mussolini, Grail, Duce, blah, blah, blah. Just a photo. And they went, let's put him away. And so her dad was removed for like 6 years, I think. So, and I just found that out last year and talking to her mum. And that was her mum's father that was removed. Yeah, her mum's 80 something. So her father was removed. And that's in Australia, just because he was Italian wearing a fascist uniform. So things like that, you're not used to,
Before
like,
social media and the consciousness was different, you know? Like their world was really small. Not like now. So imagine how they
the
were.
authoritarianism was similar to like what people are now, maybe not in your family, but I'm talking to people who work for the federal government.
Yeah.
They don't know if their jobs are going to be there tomorrow. They have, some of them have like jobs that are supposed to be forever, but they don't know.
Not
So
only that,
that's,
aren't they frightened about who in it? Like, do they talk about that with you? Like, are
they're
they
just frightened about having a job tomorrow. They don't care about the politics at all.
they
I
don't
don't
care
know
about
about your family, but they
the
don't know people in government.
they don't care about the president just taking over?
No,
Like,
because they're thinking more, because if you work for government, you're apolitical in a lot of sense because you're just doing a job. You're a public servant. You're in service. You're a person who helps people. And you might have a political opinion, but that's not meant to be your job. Your job is to help people and work for the government. So these are public servants that just don't know, that might be in the military or some other government job, and it might not be there because of the cuts. They don't know. That's something that was secure is now no longer secure. Their lives are not secure. So maybe your family don't work in government or don't have friends in government. All right. No, if you talk to other people, they're not looking at the politics. They're looking at how's it affecting my life. They may know someone who has been affected by the farmers, like you're saying, or someone who's deported.
you know, it's interesting you say that because on BlueSky, the federal are concerned. The federal
Yeah.
that got fired, they're very concerned because they have position that it's about guarding or protecting from president that are bad, the Constitution. So they are concerned, but you know, it's all different. It's all different aspect. Like you said, it could be
All
from
different.
up
There's
to like mundane, and
It's
also,
coming from all different angles, yeah.
yeah, you know.
Seven of Wands.
But it's perfect because majority are concerned about what's going on daily. Not everybody, you know, like we're worried if I go just by like worrying about having democracy and being under authoritarian, that's very basic right there too. Like worrying about having that security of freedom.
What's happening here, which has been happening even before the pandemic in Australia and New Zealand, is the control through either the V word, the vaccine, or digital currency or automation. But the irony is, in Australia, we already have a lot of automation. Besides Google and Facebook watching us and all of that stuff, within our government, the way the government operates with our CCTV, the cameras that follow us for speed cameras, you get fined in Australia just by camera. They take a photo of you. You have no control. You can't even go to the court system. You can try and fight it, but if they've got photographic evidence, it's really hard.
Right.
So that whole thing has been automated. There's many, many ways things are automated, just even going to the supermarket and having checkouts, and we don't have that human relationship anymore. Our banking systems, you don't go to the bank, everything's done electronically. We're not like China where there is no cash. But people here have been really concerned about a digital currency taking over, and we're not able to have that autonomy. And we've had that for a long time from the beginning of Australia, where a lot of people used to live in a commune or in their own off-grid type lifestyle. So now people who are living in the cities are starting to be more and more concerned about the automation. It may not be like what you're experiencing in the US, but we have totalitarianism or automation, authoritarianism, that's
AI,
already
you know,
happening.
No, it's actually very important because what we're going through now, we're all going through war, but it's a different kind of war. It's a cyber war. It's a AI because Elon Musk's using satellite um, to cheat the election here in the U.S. and around the world. So it kind of goes with what you're going through. But what's interesting is you're dealing with people who are worrying about the everyday life, like living. And Solen's like a medium actually said that it it's like people worry about their job. He goes, yes, you will find other ways to. He said that when AI is used correctly, he made it sound like it's going to be used correctly. It has its purpose because it able to absorb and have a lot of intelligence, and we will continue. It's just in different roles. You know what I mean? It's not like we're going to be replaced. Well, a lot of people worry about being replaced altogether. It's just that we're going to be uncomfortable with the unknown and what we've been doing, but we're going to survive in other ways, and AI will be utilized good where it has its purpose because it's part of the evolution. He said very matter of factly, if you guys believe in ETs or whatever, they use chips.
That's
That's
part of
part of AI, and
yeah.
all that stuff. So he made me relax a little bit when I heard him say that. But of course, you're going to worry about right now. You've been talking about from beginning, whether federal to what's going on in your country. People are focused right now, and that's the uncomfortableness. Like you were saying, you have to start. You've been reframing about what's your next step and stuff, which is the
What's
field
the next
development.
step?
Right? Create that.
So hi Fatima, nice to see you
Oh,
here. And we're talking about, I was thinking, I know Fatima in the past has shared things about her lifestyle and having to adjust to living with other people and
right.
caring for other people. And so that makes you really sensitive to attuning to the needs of others. But that's the Seven of Wands as well. Because say you're going to lose your job, I notice we're in this process here with some of my friends and my family and myself where I don't have work, but other people have come in to either help me financially, pay for me for things, or they just say, hey, let's do this and go on a holiday. And I'm like, okay, it's like a different way of living that I'm experiencing where I'm having to be in the moment and respond from my instincts. And I'm seeing it happening for other people in my community here. I feel like it's also about with the AI and the automation of things, what's my life purpose? What am I doing here? Am I just working to feed the machine and pay the mortgage and do a job that actually doesn't really fulfill me? Or is it about what I really want to do? That's what I'm experiencing personally and around me. And the thing where we're just deciding to go on a holiday, I don't normally do that, but we're doing it because a lot of us are sort of thinking, well, relationships are what's really important. And I really want to be with people. And fortunately, I have the finances where I don't have to work to actually be able to do that. Like I've got my basics covered so I can do that. And so do those people that I'm doing the holidays with. So it's really, really refocusing on, if you don't focus on what the government is doing, but what, like that Seven of Wands card where she's pulling all the energies within her, it's like like a rebirth of the self. What do I really want to experience in my life and in my relationships? And that is happening around me in spite of the automation. So if the automation takes over our jobs and our lives, what are we going to do? We have to know what we're going to do if the automation takes over basic food preparation or food production. Sterling Psychic Medium talks about the 30-year period, and our teacher Bhagavan also talks about a change happening where the financial system will be different.
Mm-hmm.
It might even go completely. He doesn't give a timeline, but Sterling has talked about that 30-year period. AI will replace a lot of work. That's coming. And last Saturday, we had a teaching from Bhagavan about that. We will not need humans to solve problems. That's coming. So the best part of AI will solve the diseases, solve the pandemics, solve the pests, controlling the bird like the chicken flu, that crisis.
We were talking about reframing, where Sterling made me laugh because he made it sound like we need them, we could utilize them.
Yeah.
Like, wasn't it a bad thing? So we just need to understand how, like you said, what's our purpose.
What's
From
our purpose?
could be, in the utilitarian vision, people don't work, right? But they
They,
still got to live, be together, the basics. So what we think, but also because you brought Fatima in and she lived at home, this is Fatima. She had all these relatives in the house, right? Everybody had different, right? Fatima, you got your brother, your sister, your husband, your son, da da da, different thing. And here she is like, oh, Dio mio. I need to have my feel the bubble of protection.
oh, you're gorgeous. I love you. Dio mio. Oh, Dio mio.
The Italian with the rosary, now the Portuguese. Oh, the Dio
Dio
mio.
mio. Yeah. I
So
think
yeah,
I do that. It's so funny because I guess Mum used to do that, and I kind of do my sort of Hindu-y, esoteric kind of version. Jesus meets
I'm
Krishna
thinking
version.
of knitting. My sister does knitting. I can't do knitting, but I have to find ways to stay calm in the midst of all this. So here, and here's another example. I have a friend who lived in Wisconsin, and she moved into a building where the landlord is really shitty, right? And there's domestic violence and stuff around her. But her apartment is one of the best apartments, she said. And she made it look like from something from the magazine. So it reminds me of this, kind of like she created this haven in the midst of what's going on outside. So I guess it's so many different ways to utilize the topic. And I was telling Angela before, if we're going to talk about politics without the information, I just don't have the energy to. I focus on me. I focus on the blue sky, and then, but as far as like trying to convince my relative who are on the other side, they're gonna figure it out themselves. Where before I would try to convince them or show to them, they always have answers. So I have to create that feel the bubble because I was sick on Christmas. I stayed home. They don't even know why. They thought it was because I didn't feel good, which I didn't, but it's because of the election. Meanwhile, then
I got upset that you weren't with your family. I actually got upset.
I did it. They don't know why. They thought it was because of other things.
Yeah.
I was by myself. Everybody around me, they were voting. They voted for him, and they were at peace. And I wasn't. So that I got to the point. If you listen to Letitia, which is in the other video I
Okay.
did years ago, she finally got to the point where she was like, "Oh my God, I'm stronger than I thought." So if we have not gone through this, kind of going what you're saying since the
Like
beginning, you
take
find
the
it stronger than we thought. In the midst of,
That's my gardener trying to cut through the debris of our.
it's not like some animal. Like, oh, scary. I'm gonna
Someone
have to
cutting
now. No.
the grass again. We always get the grass cutting, right? Must be Tuesdays in Australia, that middle of the day.
So creating
The,
that the bubble in the midst
the
of
bubble of protection
get to me like before. But I think it had to do with realizing we're stronger than we thought. That kind of
and that
deal.
bubble of protection. So when you say a field of bubbles, is that protection for you, or what is it?
Mindset, it could be going through experiences. And what we thought the worst case scenario, we're still here today. And then we're seeing some good news. And we're like, oh, wow, maybe there are solutions. Like other things we never thought of. Like, for example, how could we thrive as humanity even though AI could be so prevalent? But if you look at Star Trek, those people are fine. They're doing fine. Maybe it's a different role, different way of being, and da 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 da. Oh, Fatima, yeah. In her videos, like
Oh,
on
we've got
her
the gardeners from Fatima as well, cutting in.
like gardening and stuff, you can see in her video. This is her YouTube.
Cleaning
Fatima,
up the garden.
yeah, it's usually her brother or he played music and stuff. But so she's like, I'm familiar with that noise.
And Sylvia, I was going to ask you, like, this field of this field of bubbles, is that like you're not blocking out your family, but you're inside the bubble, you're feeling your own strength?
I feel
What?
like I need to take a lot of space away from them. But now it's different. Now I'm better. I was also going through other kind of challenges, physical challenges. So, um, and I do have support. I do have the support of BlueSky. I have the support of like Watson Sterling, like a medium them. I don't know how other people do it, but I guess they have different ways of um, recuperating. Hold on, I have to wee wee. Can you do some talking? I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sylvia's going to release for us. Yeah.
I give you the throne.
Okay. So, I was curious about like what Sylvia was sharing about how do you create that bubble of protection around you. I do that in the Zooms. We do protection work for empaths and healers, and I've been doing protection work for decades. And anytime I do a teaching, like a dance class, I do protection for the space, because all of our stuff comes in and clutters things up. But when Sylvia comes back, I'll ask her to share more about what that bubble is for her. And I'm curious if anyone's watching, Fatima, or how do you create a bubble of protection for yourself if everything gets too overwhelming in your family, not just with what's going on politically or in the globe or with artificial intelligence and the changes that we're going through, but like in your personal relationships, do you find that you get overwhelmed, or how do you protect yourself from the overwhelm or picking up too much of everybody's emotions? One thing I've learned with the emotions for me now after the election, an interesting thing happened was that I spent much more time with my personal divine. I call it my divine. Some people might call it your higher self or God or whatever spiritual connection you have. And I've been really like precious about it and really holding on and wanting more of that. And my partner is not that interested in that work that I do. He's respectful of it and gives me time, but I've noticed this voice inside my head, which is wanting more time with my personal space, my personal bubble of connection to the divine and to my higher self and to my prayer work and to my just being in a really quiet space. And I thought that was interesting because I thought all of the crazy hoo-ha going on in the world actually made me want more connection with my divine. And I thought that was an interesting outgrowth. So Fatima was saying in her family, she does a lot more meditation and prayers with positive thought. That I asked Fatima, how does she protect herself with the family and being around maybe too much of the people's energy? And so Sylvia, now that you've relieved yourself, like
To share with you, you know how you were saying like sometime even with like what's going on in election and globally, or even people worrying about the practical AI stuff, and how I was at Christmas time, because I wasn't just mad about the election. I would also worry about my mother. And I was also going through perimenopause. So between all that, it felt like, a mini nervous breakdown.
oh my God, I know someone just like you. That's so weird. Oh my God.
So, but here's the thing. My mother had kidney failure, so she's doing dialysis. Now, if I would try and control it, just like the people who lost their federal job or the people who going through what's going on politically, because a lot of people are in shock and they're not, this is horrible, what's going. But now here we are 3 months later and we made it through. So it kind of goes back to that other video with Letitia. It was stronger than we think. So how did that apply to my mother? For example, sometimes we want to control how, like, if it was up to me, I would have been like, well, I've been praying to the divine. And why did he still make my mother go through dialysis? No, I'm serious.
I
For
know.
me,
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
change because you have to do this 3 times a week. So we have to reframe it like, okay, Ma, this is your part-time job,
Yeah.
15 hours, and then you get 100 something hours to live. And the
So
first month,
that's the mindset. That's the bubble of the
yeah,
mindset.
they have to get all these veins situated. They've been preparing her vein for a year, because if you wait till the last minute, you get stuck with the thing on your neck, like emergency. So now they have a nice clean situation. They have a thing here to the blood come out and get cleaned, and then it comes back in, right? So my mother, I thought she had dementia. Her mind is much sharper. It's because her body being clean, what her kidney could not do for a long time. They take out water out of her body because she was always swollen, and it's not good for the heart if you have too much water in your body. So now her legs are less swollen. She's sharper. She had more energy. So even though if she get the good quality 5 years and 10, that'd be great. But sometimes we have to reframe. We have to reframe like this. I would still be pissed at my divine and be like, "You should have done a miracle." I'm just being honest. You should have done miracles. And I'm sure like people go with what's going on. Um, like even if I do my divine with what happened in the USA, I'd be like, what the hell is this? Seriously? Like I would be pissed off like Fatima said she surrounded herself with angels, Saint Mary and Jesus. I was like pissed. But here's the thing, like the earth is so old, how many society came and went. Look at what the people in Gaza have been going through and all that. So that's just the nature, I guess, being on planet Earth. But anyway, sometimes we find out that we can survive and we can move forward and have hope and faith and all that. So going back to you about you're in a space right now, you're like, what next, right?
Yeah. And I went through a lot of anger too. Like, what do you mean I don't have any money and that job just disappeared? What am I supposed to do in the future? I went through that. And then I went through like depression, like you to the divine, you don't look after me, you don't care
Exactly.
about me, I'm not doing this. I did the ultimatum. Remember the ultimatum? I'm not doing this unless you do blah, blah, blah. And they did blah, blah, blah. They gave me a miracle. I got someone to sponsor a course for me that was quite a lot of money. And at the time when they did it, I was in shock. I couldn't receive it. So now I'm still in the process of receiving and learning, wow, I can really like not work and things come to me, and that's okay. I'm still doing my saver and I'm working a lot of hours for not very much money. So I'm still working, like doing stuff,
You bring
but
that up because I am getting Spiritually Mentored now by Julie. And she said, you have ideas about money, and the reason why that you shouldn't have money problems, she told me. There's no reason. Not even like in my karma. But whatever the reason is, and then she said, your dad told you this, and then she said, I don't have a lot of money. I've done thousands of readings. I don't make money out of psychic work really. But she said, you look at my apartment, you would think it's outside it from a magazine. So she said, I've learned to have things come to me or be covered always.
yeah,
That's what you have to realize too.
yeah.
So it's like, oh, interesting. So it's interesting you bring that up. But I get to feel the bubble. Like, feel the bubble probably could also be not just from the outside, but from our mind.
So a new positive, like Fatima was saying, focusing on the meditation with positive thoughts, having the positive programs, in my case or your case, about money and the receiving. Mine was definitely about receiving, because I was saying when you went to the restroom that after the election, I just craved my connection with the divine more and more. I just wanted to block out everything and just go into meditation and be with the divine and just get out of the collective consciousness, because I just couldn't handle it. And in that, that's when the miracle started. I was really negative with my divine. I was complaining. I was having a good whinge. And then I got gifted the course, and then I got gifted another thing and another thing. And I had to go through my emotions that weren't allowing me to receive, like you're saying with Julie, the programs, but also the perception that I can't just receive. I had to do another layer of reframing and putting in new programs, new bubbles of thought, literally about receiving. And even now it's still operating because now we're doing the holiday, and I had certain obstacles with the finances about that. And it's still going. It's like a new self that's forming. And I realized with the emotions I had, because I was quite negative around November last year, and that might have been influenced by the collective. I'm not sure. It might have been more personal about what I wanted to let go of to receive income or to receive things, like Julie saying, receiving stuff and opportunities and food and people taking me out, or just things happening.
How you could be wealthy without money. Think if you're fully always covered and this and that wealth.
Yeah,
So she's like, it's not even with money per se, which you're
exactly.
spending. And so Fatima, just to let you know, because he came on later, on Sundays, Angela had a free she at the Zoom on Sunday with about her e-course, her ebook. And what the topic on?
Well, the ebook is called The Empaths Guide: How to Stop Taking on Other People's Energy.
What's it
And
perfect for, like, what's going on with politics?
yeah,
Yeah.
and in that, it's these pieces that we're talking about: how to deal with your emotions, how to protect your energy, how to create a sacred bubble and sacredness.
And where do they contact you? Is it dancewithangela.com?
dancewithangela.com/events has the Zooms. And also there's a Facebook group if you want to join a private Facebook group called Energy and Dance Healing for Intuitives. So I
Awesome.
can put that in the comments too later. I'll put that.
There's always hope. Never lose the hope, because hope brings faith. Faith, things will get better. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. She always said the sweetest stuff, right? So,
And it goes back to belief in yourself, because I've been working with some other groups in our Savor, in our spiritual community, and we're kind of getting like, where's your faith in yourself? And where do you criticize your divine or your higher source? Or where do you sort of doubt your higher source? And the converse of that is what Fatima's sharing, the faith. And you got to, each person's faith or connection to the divine is so unique. So it's honoring that. Like for me in the dance, when I dance with people, sometimes I have this perception and I just have to let it go, because it's not even about that person anymore. The perception is not relevant. I could be teaching something, and then when I experience the person, their own connection, I don't have to do anything anymore. I'm just myself, and I'm allowing space for them to be themselves. And that connection then just expands. And it happens in the dance class all the time. That's why I'm really tuned in to how that when you create your own protection or your own field of spiritual sacred space, your own bubble, miracles are coming from your connection, your personal connection to your divine, not just from the divine, but from your connection to the divine, your belief, your faith in that. That's manifesting miracles. And that's where I believe the future of humanity is. So all of this chaos and craziness with the changes in the government and the blah and the automation of artificial intelligence, it's not that important. It's the connection internally, like that light in the middle of the Seven of Wands card in her source, her connection to it. That's what we're cultivating right now. That's what we're building our strength, that bond to the divine. That's what's going to be the new, I guess, job. Our job is not going to be working in an office or in a factory or picking vegetables. It's going to be that connection to the divine, which sustains us, because artificial intelligence in 30 years will do all of that stuff. It will be like Star Trek. We're just not there yet. So in the interim, we're going to have to deal with all of our negative perceptions and emotions about losing stuff or losing our perception of how things should be.
and actually gaining things way more better than we thought in some way. So we're going to end it on that note. So thank you very much. Please consider joining with Angela on Sundays. night, and www dance with Angela/event, and she will go over more about stuff like the title, the Feel the Bubble, especially that's what her ebook is about. So that is free on Sunday. Utilize it. Um, she worth every time that you have. If you have an hour, utilize it. What time is that? I forget. You said 8 p.m. Eastern.
It's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern. That changes in
And
Australia because we do.
it
Oh, the
started.
next one's March 17, March
Oh,
16 in US.
and
So
it's
we've
on.
started. Yeah, I'll be doing it through the year,
Wow.
twice a month.
They decide to do this like gift. It's basically a gift if you're doing if it's free.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they also get an idea of what you're about. If I was in Australia, I would go to a dance class.
I
So
know because they're really fun. They're really weird. I even go to the dance class and go, "How come this is happening? I love it."
what was great is I was really out of shape, and she was able to work around it. So it's great because from you know just sitting on the chair, like I literally had to sit on a chair and just to like if you're healthier physically, you know, do more. But it's not like she's not about strenuous. It's more about mind, body, spirit kind of dancing, connecting from within and around you and around the earth and all that. So and very different. I can't wait to see your work come out there more and more.
Me too. It's coming. I can feel it. It's a
Yeah.
rebirth.
Yeah.
Yay.
Okay. So take care.
Thank you.